A local model can look stronger on a capability chart and still feel slower at the terminal, which is the trade-off this comparison tests. Ornith 1.5 is the new release, and it faces Ornith 1.0 plus Qwen 3.5 as local baselines. All three are roughly 9 billion parameter models, but the useful question is whether the newer Ornith changes the practical balance between locally measured speed and reported capability. Each model ran as an 8-bit quantized file on the same Ryzen 7 and RTX 4070 Ti super setup using 11 prompts. The requests ranged from 30 input tokens to 77,376, and each model generated 256 tokens for every prompt. Across the run, each model processed 124,021 input tokens and produced 2,816 completion tokens, with no recorded cache reuse. First-party Ornith comparison tables report Ornith 1.5 ahead across 10 overlapping coding, agentic, and reasoning scores selected for all three models. On Terminal Bench with Terminus 2, the reported result is 46.2 for Ornith 1.5 against 21.3 for Qwen. On SWE Bench Verified, the reported figures are 70.6 and 53.2, while the older Ornith sits between them at 69.4. Those figures are first-party benchmark evidence with their own settings, so they inform a capability choice rather than predict locally measured tokens per second. For local generation speed, Qwen 3.5 leads this run at 60.43 tokens per second, while Ornith 1.5 reaches 57.71. Ornith 1.0 reaches 57.75 tokens per second, leaving the two Ornith releases almost indistinguishable on the aggregate generation result. Qwen holds a 4.71% advantage over the new Ornith, which translated into 46.6 seconds, generating the recorded output instead of 48.8. That is a modest practical edge rather than a new hardware tier, but it favors Qwen when response generation is the immediate constraint. The per-prompt picture supports the aggregate result because Qwen recorded the highest generation rate on all 11 requests in this benchmark. At the 77,376 token input, Qwen generated at 51.52 tokens per second, and Ornith 1.5 reached 48.81. Generation slows at that longest measured input for all three models, though that single ultra-long request is a useful scenario rather than a full long context profile. Prompt processing also favors Qwen with 4,549.55 tokens per second against 4,331.52 for Ornith 1.5. This happens before the reply begins and matters when a local workflow repeatedly loads a large document or repository history. Qwen holds a 5.03% prompt processing advantage over the new Ornith, closely matching its generation advantage in the same run. The older Ornith reaches 4,341.13 tokens per second, again showing no meaningful local speed separation from version 1.5. Memory does not choose between these models in the recorded benchmark data, because every entry shows the same 10,660 megabyte snapshot and 33 of 33 layers offloaded. All three, therefore, fit the observed configuration in the same reported way, leaving no measured capacity advantage for a local user to act on here. The two Ornith releases deserve a closer look because their generation rates differ by only 0.07% in this benchmark. Their prompt processing rates are similarly close, with a 0.22% gap. So the local speed results do not separate version 1.5 from version 1.0. The supplied capability table does report Ornith 1.5 ahead of Ornith 1.0 on the selected overlapping scores, which gives the newer release a different reason to evaluate. Choose Qwen 3.5 when the immediate priority is measured local throughput on this configuration, because it leads prompt processing and generation, while all three share the same recorded memory snapshot. Choose Ornith 1.5 for evaluation when first-party coding and agentic capability evidence is the stronger signal for your work, since its reported scores lead this comparison set. Speed here is a local measurement, and capability scores are first-party evidence, and together they point you to the model that fits your workload.